How's everyone doing? Good? Energized? Yeah, a little bit, not quite. All right, look, um, my team had me prepare some remarks for you. I'm going to get to those, but I want to start by understanding who I'm talking to. How many people in the crowd actually has a woman in their family? Okay, not everyone. Not everyone. That's okay. The reason I'm here is because my name's Solomon Steplight, and I was the former finance director of the city of Hoboken, actually, and I left that position to join an organization called Girls Who Code. Who's heard of Girls Who Code? Excellent. Our mission is simple. We're positioned to close the gender gap in tech. And I often get the question, what's the big deal? Why do you need a whole organization to do that? Well, I'm going to talk a little bit about that today. But before I get into that, I promised my team that I would tell you a little bit about myself. Again, my name's Solomon Steplight. I grew up in East Orange, New Jersey. I currently live in Newark, New Jersey. Simply stated, I'm not supposed to be here. I'm one of those statistical people that you hear about when they talk about the problems in education, the problems in technology. I'm one of those people. So what I want to share with you is a little bit about how I went from a working class family where we were, living paycheck to paycheck and barely putting food on the table to growing what I consider one of the fastest growing nonprofit organizations in the United States right now in just 2 years. So for me, it kind of started when I was 5 years old. I was sitting in the shopping cart in the front, like kids like to sit in the front of the shopping cart. And my mom's pushing the cart around in the supermarket and putting, meat, lettuce, real substantive stuff in the shopping cart. So I said to her, can I get some cookies? She said no. Pushed them around a little more. I said, Mom, no, seriously, can I have some cookies? I want some cookies. She said no. Pushed around a little more. Third time I asked. We call this the hard sell in business. Mom, seriously, can I have some cookies? She said no. At that point, and I remember this very vividly, it's not a made-up story. Mom, I don't understand why you put all this stuff in this shopping cart, but you can't afford to give me something as simple as Oreo cookies. I don't get it. She was livid, absolutely livid, and to the point where I could tell that, some of you may understand this, you crossed the line with your parents, like you went too far. I went too far. But that was symbolic to me as I went through life, because what my mom was effectively communicating to a young kid was that we couldn't afford what I call the extra. And the extra is what you get outside of dinner, outside of lunch, outside of breakfast. The extra was the cookies in this case. When I think about this organization and the work that I'm doing now, and the work that I've been doing for a number of years, I look at public education, our education system, as that sustenance in the shopping cart. The cookies. Anybody like cookies? All right, good, yeah. Good crowd. The cookies is the extra. In my opinion, it's what makes dinner great. In my opinion, and what makes lunch great. And sometimes it's a good late night snack. But the cookies are what happens outside the classroom. Public education is designed to make sure every student has the ability to understand core topics and a wide range of subjects. But the reality is, sometimes the difference, particularly when you're talking about technology skills, particularly when you're talking about computational thinking, problem solving, critical thinking, you need to supplement what happens inside the classroom. There are people in this country that can afford tutors, robotics, ballet. Girls Who Code is a free program, and we offer scholarships, so that's different. But they can afford what we call the after-school enrichment learning environments that make the difference for their kids. It's not accessible to everyone. So for me, I set out on a journey. And the journey is very simple. And again, I promise to say the notes that my team put together for me. So this time last year, in a Washington Post article, a person named Pasi Sahlberg from Finland, happens to be one of the world's leading experts on school reform, wrote that in school, 20 to 40% of measured student performance is attributed to what happens in the classroom. 20 to 40%. So what's the other 60, 80%? It's what happens outside the classroom. That's where I focused most of my career. In the engineering lab at the University of Pennsylvania as an undergraduate and a graduate student, working on 3 different startups, and now here speaking to you today as the COO of Girls Who Code. Really looking at giving us, Americans, the opportunity to have some of those enrichment experiences that can make the difference. And it's not all education, socioeconomic is part of it too. Which is why, I had the experiences that I've had. So when you think about that, when you think about the challenges of just everyone getting what we consider a quality education, what does that mean for women and minorities? What does that mean? I'll tell you. In America, when you think about why we are all here at Propeller, when you think about the topic of tech and entrepreneurship specifically, as it has become wildly popular over the past 20 or so years, women only make up 20%, 26% of the tech force in America. Minorities, less than 10%. So for me, I'd like to think that, Girls Who Code was something that I was destined to do, but that's not the reality. The reality is this. Girls Who Code found me. I was working here as the finance director, as I mentioned, and I was asked to give some advice to a woman named Reshma Sanjani. I don't know if you've ever heard of Reshma. She ran for public advocate in New York City. And part of the advice she wanted was how to scale a nonprofit organization, something I had done in the past. And in speaking to her, I was completely moved. The reason I was moved is because I'm an engineer, but I'm also a father. I have a young daughter. And I tried to imagine, after listening to Reshma, her growing up with a geeky, techie father like me and developing an interest in computer science and then confronting with the reality in the United States that only 26% of women are actually in tech jobs. How about this? When I started at Girls Who Code 2 years ago, only 6,000 girls in the United States took the AP Computer Science test. How about this? The AP Computer Science test currently focuses on Java. How many people use Java in your company? Exactly. That's what the AP Computer Science test focuses on, and only 6,000 girls. Oh, how many boys? 30,000. All right, let me put it in perspective. The White House just came out with some statistics on this. We've been working very closely with them, so we've been having a lot of conversations about what the data looks like. 1 in 10 schools in the United States offer computer science. So what does the future look like for computer scientists? Is there really 1.4 million jobs projected to be available in 2020? It's 2016 right now. 4 years. What is the education system doing to fill this gap? Is it their responsibility? Are universities prepared? This was my conversation with Reshma. At that moment, I locked in on this mission. I had to do something for my daughter. I wanted, at the very least, to create thousands of potential mentors for my daughter. And then, when I dug in, I started to understand all the structural obstacles that she would have to deal with as a girl. Structural obstacles. That's a little hyperbolic, Solomon. What are you talking about? What was the stuff I took for granted? Like I said, I was an engineer. I went to the University of Pennsylvania. I played football. I came from Newark. I still live in Newark. I thought I was okay. Anybody could do it. What's the big deal? But when you do the work that I do and you travel around the country and you work with officials at the federal level, all the way down to the local level, you work with principals, you talk to parents across the country about the challenges that they have around education, and then you say to them, there's a potential for 1.4 million jobs for people who have computer science skills by the time your daughter graduates from college. They look at me and they say, there is no outlet for them. There are no resources. Thank you for Girls Who Code. Thank you for bringing that to our community. So I feel like our work is important, and it's only been 2 years. And in 2 years, well, the organization started, for those of you who don't know, in 2012. We actually had one classroom at a company called AppNexus, which is just across the river there. We had 20 girls, and that was 4 years ago. This year, just 4 short years, this year we will serve, by the end of this year, we will have taught 40,000 girls. What does 40,000 girls mean to the United States? Those people who work with me know I'm a very passionate person. Once I plug into a mission, and at a certain point in my life, my mission was building robots in grad school. Loved doing that, autonomous vehicles. But now my mission is to make sure my daughter has a bright future, whatever she chooses to do. 40,000 girls will have what we call the core 4. They're going to learn computational thinking, critical thinking, problem solving, variables, algorithms through our programs, and be prepared for the workforce. We conduct our summer immersion class, which will be kicking off across the country in 78 locations, inside tech companies. So at Twitter, who we work with very closely, we have girls, 20 girls, learning how to do computer programming, coding, Python, etc., inside of the Twitter offices, along with the Twitter software engineers. Same thing at Facebook and a whole host of other partners that we have, AT&T, Verizon, you name it. So for me, again, making sure I hit the notes or my team will be upset. I look at us as being well positioned to change the face of not just Silicon Valley, but also Silicon Alley. I know there's a lot of structural obstacles out there that go beyond just the skill sets. But one of them is when a girl walks into a classroom when she's between 6 and 12, we found that, and this is work we did with McKinsey, that over 66% of them are actually interested in math and science, same as the boys. When they get to the age range of 13 to 17, the boys jumps to 72% are interested in math and science. The girls fall to 32%. Wait. It goes from over 66% interest in math and science to 32%. Why would that happen? They're 13. Why would that happen? Is it because they want to play with dolls? Does playing with dolls mean you can't do math and science? If so, I'm in trouble because my daughter plays with dolls. But she also knows how to do a Rubik's Cube. She's 3. What does that mean? What does it mean to have such a significant drop? Oh, what happens when they get to college? Freshman year of college, the drop is over 50%, both for boys, young men, and young women. Just in computer science. We asked them why. We asked McKinsey why. You know what they told us? 2 main reasons. Media representations of girls related to tech doesn't exist. The other thing, no network. Families, you all. When a young girl is interested in computer science, do you support them? Do you encourage them? Do you? That's what we found were the 2 main reasons. Then we set out on a business strategy to grow and to scale. And that's what we've done over the past 2 years. Since that time, I've also, being an engineer, being passionate about building solutions to problems, built a platform called Propelify. And Propelify is very simply the first, in my opinion, platform for parents to help them keep their children's out-of-school learning on track using all of you and all of your experiences. There's a community there with professionals sharing the resources that they use to help them get where they get. And then parents can leverage that experience, those resources that they use out of the classroom resources to build a learning plan for their own kids. So for me, definitely in the last 2 years, but definitely over the next 10 years plus, I'm making cookies. Cookies for everybody. That's what I've been passionate about. That's what I wanted to talk to you about. I hope all of you understand how important this is. And one last plug before I walk off stage. Tomorrow, for those of you who have middle school people in your family, middle school kids, we have our TV debut, and I'm actually pretty excited about this. There's a Nickelodeon show called Game Shakers, and highlight of Game Shakers tomorrow will be Girls Who Code in our clubs specifically. So if you get a chance to watch that, please do. We also signed a book deal. Our first book comes out next year. It's a 10-year book deal. So there's a lot more content, and I appreciate your time. Thank you.